Welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben and this is my review for Max's new original film, Grey Matter, from first-time director who's directed a couple of shorts, is also the award-winning director of a trailer that is The Conjuring, very good at directing trailers, and now we see her being given the chance with Project Greenlight to give us a look at what she can do with the feature. So let's talk about it. Aurora has known all her life from her mother that the superhuman abilities they have also make them dangerous. Now Aurora will discover if her mother was speaking the truth on one fateful night. So you have Mia Isaac playing Aurora and Jessica Francis Dukes playing Ayla and Garrett Dillahunt playing Derek. I love the fact that Project Greenlight has given so many first-time directors or young directors or just directors chance to do features. So they've done their work in whether it is trailer, music videos, you name it, they've been there. It's not like they're brand new to the gig, but they've been given the opportunity because those behind Project Greenlight have seen their potential and gone, okay, let's see what you can do with a bit of a budget. And so we have Grey Matter, and it's not a story that we haven't seen before. We've seen the superhero genre done to death. We've seen X-Men-ish movie. We've seen I Am Number 4. There is a plethora of content out there like this that you can listen to this synopsis and go, oh, and just have your eyes roll in the back of your head. I think there are positives and negatives to this film. Like with every film, I don't think any film is really perfect. There'll be those that you hold in your mind as like the best of the best, but there's always room for improvement. Even Christopher Nolan will attest to that in his films, and other directors like Ridley Scott say, I wish I'd changed this, or actors wish they'd brought out a line better down the road. But for now, we have Grey Matter, and like the other superhero films, it takes its time introducing us to our two main protagonists, the mother and daughter, who both have powers. Now, because of a thing that's happened at the beginning, they're on the run. It starts with this thing, and then we jump 15 years later. The daughter's, a young teen. She's trying to learn to control her abilities. Her mother's trying to control her daughter in the teenage angst part of her life, but also on keeping them safe and teaching her how to use her abilities safely so that she isn't hunted down by the big bad that there always is. We don't know anything really about the story until it unfolds. Now, I would say Garrett Dillahunt, he has a formidable presence, so even though you don't know who he is at first, it's going to be very easy for you to figure out what his role is in this. Reminds me a lot of the series Heroes, very similar to this film. Like, you could have taken a feature-length episode of Heroes and really kind of put it in this. Stylistically, I think this is better. I think it's filmed beautifully. It has a really nice cinematography feel, an indie sort of hero movie. But where this film shines is some of those moments where our characters, mother and daughter, have to interact with each other, dealing with what it means to be on the road, trying to build up that relationship. Those moments feel real. They feel really tangible, like a lived in real world. You are a fly on the wall and you're listening to their conversations about what's happening. It's not an action heavy superhero film. It's more a look at what it's like to live with powers, also with a constant threat of danger and not being able to live like a normal life. The issue that Clark Kent versus Superman has. And I think that works for the most part. It does seem to want to go into the superhero genre more towards the end, the third act. I would say it takes a long time to set up the story though, and this is where I get into a little bit of my negatives. It takes a long time for it to introduce what's happening. It feels a little bit drawn out, those first 45 minutes. Once we start getting into the reveals, it's much more a pace-driven story with that threat ever present. And then it kind of slows down because once our main young protagonist finds herself in a different location, what's happening there, even though you understand what's happening there, they spend a long time on this particular someone's messing with her mind moment. And it just feels like we could have had other moments of behind the story of other characters, future or different Earth, whenever this is set. Whether it's a parallel Earth or the same Earth, but people with powers have manifested themselves. Whatever timeline this is, we are just dropped into it. Now, you don't need to know everything. We just kind of accept what has happened to this world, and because it's a contained story, you don't need to know everything. But there are little bits where we're shown what's happened around the world, newspaper articles on the wall, a different location with people that seem to have similar abilities to the others in the film, and you want to know more about them. So it's very lightly touched on what's going on. At the same time, it's a very contained story and there's no real need for it. So that's my nitpick. I would say it feels slow in places, but it's not a superhero action heavy movie. I would say the dialogue is good, the cinematography is excellent, especially night shots. I thought they lit it brilliantly in a way that makes you feel like you're there as the fly on the wall, but you're experiencing what they're going through with them. You feel the relationship turmoil, that is good. I just felt it like it was too long, which is weird because it's only an hour and a half. So I wanted more from the story, but I wanted it to get into the story quicker. So that 45 minutes of introducing us to the relationship, I think we could have had the relationships being grown and that kind of movement happening in along the action, with the action. I don't know. It's a weird thing for me going, yeah, it needs to be longer, but also shorter. It doesn't need to be shorter. We just need to have more of something different in a different part rather than that. What for me felt like a bit of a drawn out beginning. So I enjoyed it as a one-time watch. I think it's fantastic direction in places. I think the relationship, that's where the strongest is for me. I thought that came out as being the benefit of the film. Seeing the budget with the special effects, I think there was nothing wrong with the special effects. When they're using powers, I think it's done well, believable. Doesn't look like an episode of Heroes, or maybe does look like an episode of Heroes, and Heroes was good with what they did with their effects when they're showing their abilities. It's not really scary. It's more like a day in the life of a hero on the run, which I think was an interesting way to go, because all those others we've had a lot of. So let me know if you're going to watch this. I think some people will be split with this. They'll just find it boring and it takes too long. Others will really get into the relationship aspect of it and really enjoy it, even though it is a bit of a slow burn. Except for that third act, and even then that third act for me takes too long in certain places. So it's a little bit of a roller coaster ride. As a one-time watch, it's definitely worth it. I'm going to give this 3 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
You got one. Congratulations.
Thanks so much for watching. What would you rate it? What is your favorite superhero-esque film like this that isn't a genre like a Marvel or X-Men, but like individual type of hero films? Love to know your opinion down below in the comments. Again, thanks for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long Tuesday.